on the clock? So it says in the Mishnah spoke about two ways that you say the bracha, you say the mzimu. Either you say, if there's three people, this is how we do it, and we'll see why in a moment, is you say, nevarech shechanam, we say, nevarech shechanam mishalot. And if there's, the Mishnah says, if there's four people, you could do more like we kind of do by Mariv, like by, or whatever, Shachas, Mariv. We say, Baruch Hashem Avayach. Right? They should bless Hashem. So is it we bless Hashem, or they bless Hashem? Right? And then they answer. Like the Chazan says, they bless Hashem. And then they answer. Or we say, we bless Hashem. So the Gemara explains that there's a rule that the way you speak, the proper way to speak in the Torah is to say things together. Don't take yourself out. I think we saw that about, right? That was the bottom line on Chatzer Strauss Beis. On Mishmul, the Olam HaYotzeh V'Zatzim in a cloud, T'nam B'Shlam, excuse me, Hu'omer U'Borchu. Because it said, I'm sorry, that's a question. T'nam B'Shleish Hu'omer U'Borchu. So 1 second, that's a stira, because then why does it say that if it's, sorry, when it's three, another person, you say Borchu. So he is taking himself out of the cloud. He's saying they should bless. Why not say Nevarech? We should bless, right? When you say Nevarech, that means we, right? So the one answer is Ema Af Borchu. What the one means to say is you could say, it wouldn't be incorrect to say Baruch, because that's true, because you're leading them, and you're telling everybody they should bless. Nivarech Adif. It's preferable always to, as Shmuel said, to always include yourself with everybody else and say Nivarech. That's why you always try to be with everybody else. It's the rules of Chazal. Dom Rav Ada Barav, Omi Birav. Tanina. That's what we learned, that in the Mishnah, that six people on the chalakim. In other words, the rule is if you choose, let's say you have 6 people eating together and you want to make the 3 guys ready now, whatever it is, the 3 later, you can divide it up. It's not a problem. Ad asara, until 10. Once you have 10, you can't divide it up because you're obligated to bench properly the Vorach Elokeinu. We'll see at the end of the sugya. You can divide it up, possibly, but preferably not. So was bishlam and Nevarech Adif. So if you say anyways, it's what's the preferable way to bench? The Varech Shachan Mishalo, as we do, or Baruch Shachan Mishalo. They should bless, right? So what's the proper way? If Nevarech is Adif, it makes sense. So it's irrelevant. You're always anyways going to say Nevarech. So it doesn't matter if you have 3 or 4 or 5. It's always you're going to say the same thing. It's not going to affect how you. But if we learn the Mishnah. If we learn maybe like the mashmaris of the Mishnah, if we learn the Mishnah according to its seemingly what it would seem to imply is that when there are 4 people, you should say Baruch, which goes against the rule of Shmuel. So then, why would it make sense that when let's say there's 6 that you divide up? How can you divide up? Because if you go into 2 groups of 3, you're gonna have to say Nevarech. You won't say Baruch. And the answer to the question is because it's better anyways to say Nevarech, so there's no problem with splitting it up. It's also a brisa. There's a, when if someone says something wrong, sometimes we correct him. So here it says in the brisa you don't correct him. Either way. But the Nagdonim, those that are very particular, they will catch him on that, and they'll say, no, don't say Baruch, we'll say Nevarech, like Shmuel. That's a right to Shmuel. So, and we see, the way a person, if he says it correctly, we see he's a Talmud Chacham. So the people that care, the Nagdonim, will make a point of that. And what it says, Ketzad, Rabbi Yomer, How would that be? What's another example of that really? How do you see correct way of saying things? Which is Talmud Chacham. Rabbi says, you say ubetuvoi. If he says ubetuvoi, how do you say Talmud Chacham? Ubetuvoi. Right? He says in benching bituvoi in his goodness. That's the correct way. Umituvoi, how is a bor? That's wrong. Rashi said because you're limiting the kindness of Hashem. You say, and from His goodness, Rashi said, the mashmat of a mu'id, just it gives a little bit good. No, it's good. Everything is good. But tuvoi, it's mamash. We're everything. We're inside the good. Everything is good. Me tuvoi. That's not the right way to talk. But if you look in the Torah, look at the psukim, in the Navi, he says, mi berchoscha, from his bracha, yivorech, he should bless. So that's, again, they're talking about Hashem. All right, so why are you limiting Hashem's goodness? From some of His goodness, He should bless. Say, we want to say the best, all the good. Hashem gives everything. He gives all the good. So the answer is, there's a difference. There's a difference when you want to thank Hashem, when you want to thank somebody, you thank Him in maximum. You say, thank you, everything is amazing. It's good. When you want to ask somebody for something, so you'll say to Him, if Hashem could give me something from His goodness, that's good. So when you're asking, so that's the correct way. When you're thinking, it's different. So more questions that though. Is that true? The Gemara says, but we find B'Sheila Nami, if you look at the other pasuk in Tehillim, it says over there, it says, Harchev Picha, Ramaleo. So here, we're not discussing mituva versus mituva, but it's saying here you're asking, David HaMelech is asking for a maximum. Harchei picha, you should open your mouth and fill it up to the maximum. So you do ask maximum also. You could ask from Hashem, you could ask anything. You could ask whatever you want. So more answers depends. That's because you're saying different Torah. That's what you're asking Hashem to give you Torah. We have to daven for Torah, though. We should know Kol Torah. Without the Tani Rabbi Yomi Bituvoi, or is it Tam Chacham? We say Bituvoi Tam Chaim. Sorry, you said right? Like we said Bituvoi Chayinu, right? That's Talmud Chacham. With His goodness, He gives us alive. How is that? If you say Bituvoi Chaim, how is a bur? Why? Because you always want to include yourself. Ubetuvoi chayinu. We are living off the good of Hashem. We say just betuvoi. There's life. You're not including yourself. You have to include yourself. You have to be included. That's how Talmud Chacham includes himself. They actually said the opposite. So why is it better? Rashi explains because it's a little more general. In other words, they had a different argument. They said if you say chayinu, so it's still a little bit exclusive because it doesn't include everybody in the world. Tuvachayim includes everyone. It's more generalized. It includes everyone. But we don't pass like that. We say tuvachayim. Right? We say Nivarech Shalchalnu Mishalei. That's how we say it. If you say Nivarech Mi Shalchalnu Mishalei from the He, he's a bor. What is it? The Mi Shalchalnu sounds like You're talking about him, like the Balabayas, him. That's not. It's from Hashem. Everything's from Hashem. Sometimes we say that. We refer to Hashem. That's what we say in Chanukah. For it's called Nisam Elu. No, you're right. It's sometimes we could call that. We could use Lemi to refer to Hashem. But the Hasam is Muchal Milsa. Obviously, who made the miracles? It's obviously the only one who's making miracles is Hashem. So that's when it's obvious in context. Yes, you could say that. Man of Edisi, Kuchabrichu, it's Hashem. Omra Yechene. Baruch Shachalmu Mishaloi. If you say, right, that's what we say. Baruch Shachalmu Mishaloi. Right, we say, the Baruch Shachalmu Mishaloi. We answer, Baruch Shachalmu Mishaloi. That's Tamkocha. Alamazan Shachalnu, if you say we're blessing on the food, again, it's the same thing. You're putting the blessing on the object, not on the Kodesh Baruch Hu. You have to Baruch Shachalnu Mishaloi, not Baruch Amazan Shachalnu. That's a bur. Omar Avuda Beit Yeshua Le'yamin El Begimel. Tradition Shemayim. That's when regular Zimun. When there's 10 people, the Yikashen Shemayim, you say Baruch Elokeinu. So then it's not. It doesn't. It's not. It won't be misinterpreted. You say Baruch Elokeinu ala Mazon Shulchanu. So obviously I'm benching Hashem. He gave us the mazon. If I just say Baruch ala Mazon Shulchanu, then it sounds like I'm talking about the mazon. So when there's 10 people, it doesn't make a difference actually. In fact, the Mishnah says you do. When you say, we don't do this, but when you say the full bracha of the praises of Hashem, you do say Alamazon. So it says, let's remember the Mishnah minute. We go back to the Mishnah, it said like this. The Mishnah went through a list. It says, 3, you say, right, 10, like we do, you say Elokeinu. And then it goes on, a bunch of things. It says what you say by Mea, or 1,000, 100,000, right? And then the Mishnah says, makes a statement and says, sorry, where's that statement? I'm sorry. Before that, it said, before the listing of all the things, it first said, Achad Asar Ribui, Right? It doesn't make a difference whether it's 10 people or whether it's 100,000 people. Sorry, so right? Right, it doesn't make this. The numbers don't make a difference. And yes, there is a difference between 3 and 10. That of course we agree. But once we get to 10 and Kano, it doesn't make a difference. So the Gemara, and then it goes on and gives a whole list of there are slightly different variations. So the Gemara basically is going to ask what's going on. So the Gemara asks, it's a stira. Hagufa Kasha. First he said Echad Asar Ribui. 10. 100,000, 10,000. Alma Kiadori Nino. Ribu is 10,000. Kiadori Nino. V'aduk Tani B'meya. And then it said, then afterwards the Mishnah goes on. It says B'meya, you say, right, you add on. Okay, yeah. And then B'elef, you add even more Shrochim. B'ribu Yomer, you say more. So it's a theory. He said it doesn't make a difference. Then you go contradict yourself and say, and differentiate. Rabbi Yosef Lakashia, Rabbi Yosef Glili, Rabbi Akiva. Yeah, so it's a little bit confusing, the Mishnah. And really, what's confusing is it's really 2 separate opinions. So it's a little bit confusing. Right? So it's not. Rabbi Yosef Glili says, Lefi Rav Akal and Vochem. Rabbi Yosef Itaka says, Itaka is going to fluctuate based on the amount of people. And why? Consider Makayla, sorry. And yeah, so and Bekiva says no, it's always the same. So Bekiva's opinion is it's irrelevant, and that's what we paskin. Just like in the basic Knesset, it doesn't make a difference. But Rabbi Yosef, so the first opinion was Rabbi Akiva, and the second opinion in the Mishnah was Rabbi Akiva. It didn't explain it; it's a little bit confusing. But that's what's going on. That's what has to be going on in the Mishnah. Something more vital. All Rabbi Akiva, what Rabbi Akiva was right that we never change it, because just like in the basic Knesset, what happens? The Chazan gets up and he says, Baruch Hu. Doesn't make a difference. They don't say, how many? There's a big minion. We're in the mirror. There's 100 people here. There's 1,000 people. No, it doesn't matter. Rabbi Kiva Haikru. Oh, so now Rabbi Yosef bar Araya, it does seem the Makelos Boch Elokim. When there's a lot of people, you say you Baruch Hashem, you say Elokim, you say different praises, Elokim, Hashem, right? So how does Rabbi Kiva interpret that pasuk? So the Gemara, it's a different, he learns a whole different drush from it, different concept. And that teaches as follows. Even the fetus, the uber, it's a fetus, shebemoy iman, inside the mother, amru shir al yam. When the Jewish people, when they crossed the Yam Suf, so even the babies inside the fetus said shira. Shenema Makela is boch elakim. Okay, a lot of people they blessed Hashem. Here's the drasha. Mimikor. Mikor is another term in the Gemara for the womb of the woman. Right? So the Mikor Yisrael. So even from there, the fetus blessed Hashem. V'yirach Mimikor nafka. Now, Rabbi Yosef says it's true. You're right, and we can infer that. We can make that inference from this pasuk for the word Mikor, but that doesn't mean we still can't darshan in this pasuk to teach us the different levels of zimun. Amar Rava, halacha Rabbi Akiva. That's what we're at. If you notice, that's what we do. Ravina Chama Babuzi Ikle Reish Galusa. The story goes, they went to visit Reish Galusa. Now Reish Galusa is like the king kind of. He's like in charge. He's like the monarch. He's like the Jewish leader. Kom Rab Chama v'kamahadar abei meya. So Rabbi Chama was trying to find 100 people to do zimun. You're not going to change anything when there's 100. Or if you find 100 people, you don't need 100 people. It's the same zimun Baruch Elokeinu, whether it's 10 people or it's 100. Amar Rav. Another thing, another story to Reish Galusa. When we ate, now again, Reish Galusa he's like this monarch. He's the Jewish leader, and there's a lot of people eat him. Everyone comes to eat. There's a big big matzah over there on Shabbos or whatever it is, or and a lot of people coming. There's tons of people now. So he said, how do we bench? We would involve in shleisha. We took. There were a lot of people there, and we go into a group, and 3 people, we bench. So the Gemara says, why do you do that? You're eating together. Really, you should say Baruch Elokeinu. L'volchu yud yud. If I'm not mistaken, yeah. So the Gemara asks, you should make 10. You should get 10 people so you should Elokeinu. So the answer is Shama Reish Galusa ve'ikbid. The problem is the Reish Galusa is going to be makbid. We don't want that to happen. So fragt the Gemara, v'nifku be'bechasa the Reish Galusa. So taka. So he's going to be makbid. So just the other alternative is, in other words, you can say if you do 3 people quietly, he's not going to. But if you have 10 people, he's going to be in the middle of the meal. He's going, what's going on? Like what's his business? So why don't you just wait till the shus is ready to bench? So someone to bench, and then everyone will answer together. So the answer. We don't want to do that. I did the avsha kuli alma lishmiya. It's very difficult because you have hundreds of people in the room, and then one guy's trying that, and they didn't have a loudspeaker over there. Maybe it was Shabbos, or maybe they didn't have that invention, obviously, right? So therefore we prefer to do it in groups, but therefore the only option is to break up in 3. Amar Rabba Toisva Hani Gimel the Kalchi Rifta Badadi Adadi. Let's say there are 3 people that are benching. They're eating together. Sorry, they're not ready to bench. V'kanim Chaminal Baruch, the Daita. One guy gets up and benches before everybody else. So now he's finished benching, but the guy said, "My friend, Zimun, what's a Zimun?" So Ina Naf could be Zimun today. He could still answer Zimun, even though he benched already, and there'll be Yoitze with him. Iu Lo Nafik Zimun Didhu, but he cannot be Yoitze with their Zimun. Because he can't retroactively do zimun. Zimun is part of benching. So if he benched already, he lost the zimun. But because he's part of the group, he can still answer in the zimun. and he's still like, it's still, so there, he's still somewhat, it's an interesting thing, because he can't do Zimun, so yet, how can he do Zimun with that? But he can still make their Zimun. He can still participate that and their Zimun is a Zimun. Rabbi Shmuel says that you say, Baruch Hu es Hashem ha-mevoyrach. That Rabbi Kiva said, Baruch Hu es Hashem. And this is what we do. We say, well, we'll see. Baruch Hu es Hashem ha-mevoyrach. Let's see. Rafa bar Papa Ikula Beknishta the Begiba. They went to the base of Knesset. Beknishta is the base of Knesset, Begiba, the shul. Kom Korab Sifra. He was reading Kriyas Torah. And he said, Baruch Hu es Hashem. V'ishtik. Lama mevoyrach. Right? Ifshu kuli alma. Ifshu. Everybody says, like, and everybody started screaming, what's going on? You didn't say mevoyrach. Ifshu kuli alma. Baruch Hu es Hashem mevoyrach. Amar Rava. Pasi uchma. It's a little bit of a, he's calling him he's calling it a little, you're a kli cheres. He's calling him a kli cheres, you black kli cheres. How do you pluk the lamalach? Why are you getting involved? Why, in other words, why did you change the bracha? Why say Baruch Hu Hashem? You shouldn't, that's what they do over here. Rashi explains, it's machlekes Rabbi Kiva Rabbi Shmuel. Why do you, if you say Baruch Hu Hashem Avayrach, you're not, Rabbi Kiva's okay with that. You didn't limit your bracha in any way. So just say the better bracha. As we do, right? For oid, noig alma can be Shmuel. Also the minigs can be Shmuel. That's what we do. Say Baruch Hu Hashem Avayrach. Start the next